we are in my backyard with Patty Powers and Marcia Duffy, and we are going to take a look at the transformation of a piece of property that was pretty barren to a mecca of beauty.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, and so I'd like you to give us an idea of, like, what do you have here, Patty?
Well, we have all kinds of fruits and vegetables and herbs that we grow organically. We build up all the beds with compost, and we have been for 27 years now.
Wow.
Wow.
And you know, like with compost, it takes a while to build.
It takes a while to build
but
up.
everything that you're doing has helped you every day in the future.
Yep.
Yeah.
Every year we added more beds, more compost, and then cover crops, mulching. This was actually all a gravel bank. This had been wasted land. And when my husband moved here about 30 years ago, living in a little cabin over there, and he's the one who really did most of the transformation. He does the hard work, I just do the planting.
Wow. So what did you have to do to the land? Did you have to take the gravel out?
No, the one good thing about gravel is that it drains. So if you put compost in the beds, you almost have like a clay pot situation where you're just growing the things in the crops in the beds, and then it all drains, and that's how the terraces work.
So you have wonderful drainage.
Wonderful drainage.
Yes.
Yes, we do really well in a wet year. We have a hard time with a dry year.
Yeah.
So we do have a well and feeder hoses, so we can either sprinkler hose or soaker hose the beds as we need them.
Yep.
And keep things from drying out too much. But the mulch really helps also.
Yeah, and now you have a lot of innovations here that you know, that anybody at home can do as well. And so I would really like to take a look at some of these and why you do them.
Okay.
So if we could take a little walk
Sure.
towards the garden. Now, over here on our left-hand side, I see a lot of garbage can tops.
Yes.
And I mean, it looks like a piece of art, honestly.
Yep.
But there's probably a purpose.
Yeah, I'm not really a fan of that kind of art, but that's what it is. We're trying to protect the trees from porcupines.
Okay.
We have a family living behind the neighbor's barn and another family over there, and they get into the fruit trees and eat the branches and the leaves. They completely devastate the trees, and they especially love the dams and plums. The only way we've found to protect them is with sheet metal, because woven wire doesn't work. They climb right over that. We've tried motion detector lights and motion detector radio. None of that works, but this does work. Now, they don't care for the pears as much unless they can't get plums. So we can keep them off the pears with the plastic trash lids.
Are they eating the fruit or are they eating the bark?
No, they're eating mostly the small twigs and the leaves. Say there's a branch with all of these twigs coming off of it. They'll sit in the tree and just eat until there's nothing left. They'll eat all of the tender shoots. And last year, our neighbor's dog lost his life battling one.
Oh, no.
So we try and keep the dog protected.
Right.
We try and keep the trees protected. I don't know how the people with animals handle the loss of chickens, because I have a hard enough time standing the loss of a tree. There was one right there a week ago.
Oh, no.
That it just was so bad. It didn't survive.
It do a good job? Does it keep them from climbing?
This does, yes. This, so far, we haven't had any problems with this setup. So we've got our fingers crossed, and we hope someone gets the varmint.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, we have to protect the trees.
Right. Oh, yeah, because you are Cheshire Gardens, and you make jams and jellies and vinegars and all that kind of stuff. So all of the produce or products that you see here will probably go into something that you're going to have on your shelves.
Right, and dams and plum is something that a lot of people don't grow. It's a very unusual heritage breed or variety of plum, and people from all over the country buy it from us by the case, and so we like to have the plums for them.
Yeah. Because I mean, I don't know if you guys have ever tried these jams and jellies and all the other things, but
they're good.
Did you hear me? I said they are delicious.
Thank you.
Let's check and see what else we have here.
Okay, well, this is herb garden here. We have oregano and some baby basils. This is lavender that will go into lavender mustard. And beyond that, tarragon for tarragon mustard. And just
Now, what is this here? Is this
this is lovage.
lovage?
The
Do
herb
you use that in
lovage.
soups though, or something?
I actually like to eat the greens
Uh-huh.
and in soups,
Yep.
and it should certainly be cut. But it makes such a
It's
beautiful
pretty.
flower.
Yeah.
We used to have more beds, and as we got older, we took out some of the beds, but that lovage remains.
Right.
And you have solar panels.
Solar
right there.
panels. We fill 7 freezers with our fruit during the year, and then we make our preserves all throughout the year with the frozen fruit, and we heat the house as we make the preserves, but we run the 7 freezers on the solar panels.
Wow. And that's a lot of energy.
It is,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
wow.
And that's our way to
Great.
keep that from being too big a burden.
Yeah.
And then these are chili peppers for a chili pepper preserve and chili pepper mustard.
Yeah.
And these beauties are elderberries. These are the elder flowers, and those will get almost to be the size of dinner plates.
And those are a purple berry?
yes,
A dark purple,
Yep.
like a plum color? Yep.
Yep.
And what do you use those for?
I make an elderberry syrup, and on years when I have apples, which this year my apple isn't doing anything, I make an elderberry apple preserve. But this year it will all go into syrup, and it looks like an incredible year.
I cannot believe the flowers that I see on this.
Wow.
And they're also, the flowers are edible, and you can make a lovely fritter with them, which is quite nice.
Nice.
And some people make an elderberry liqueur.
And these all turn into berries.
Yes,
And these little.
it will make a huge flower like the biggest Queen Anne's lace blossom that you've ever
yeah.
seen. And then the little petals fall away, and what remains is this big umbel of the purple blackberries.
Right. And that's if you have good pollinators.
That's if you have good pollinators, which we do.
And then down here, I think,
Here we have black currants that I
Uh-huh.
don't think he can see.
yeah, we'll shoot over to the, you have black and red currants though?
Yes.
Okay.
And then sweet peppers
Barley.
and garlic for the garlic mustard.
Okay, and the garlic, just tell me, you plant it in the fall.
Yes.
And then when do you harvest it?
I usually harvest around the end of July.
Okay.
And you see these are the scapes.
Uh-huh.
This is the flower
The curly-
and shoot
yeah.
of the garlic, and right now I should be cutting them off.
Uh-huh. Because you can use those to cook and
Yes, they're
use
quite
like,
wonderful.
Saute
like
them
green
up
onion
and-
kind
Or
of.
grill them,
Yeah.
or make a garlic scape pesto. It's
Yep,
quite
I got
wonderful.
some in my CSA
Oh, good.
today, this week.
Yep.
And they're
It's the
beautiful. I
season.
mean, they're like
Yeah.
a piece of art when,
Yes.
when you see them
I
too.
did at one point. I made vinegars with them, which is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's
because-
necessary to cut them. Too,
Yes,
isn't
then
it?
the
to-
energy goes into the root.
bulb, yes.
rather-
Yeah.
into the bulb rather than into that flower.
Right.
Yep.
And you have tomatoes?
Yes.
Or what do you grow the tomatoes?
I make a tomatoes rustica, which is an herb and garlicky pizza sauce. And that's the garlic is also.
Is that new?
Yes. No, I've made it, but last year I didn't have it because the weather, all the storms that came in at the end of August
okay.
pummeled the tomatoes.
So you make the sauce. Do you make salsa as well?
I make a raspberry salsa.
Okay. Yeah.
A little
question-
bit different.
One question that I
Why
have,
is it
why?
there?
Yeah.
Yes,
like
this
they're
is,
in
I
between
wanted to talk
instead.
about this.
Yeah.
If you've ever put down a tomato cage and have rocky soil, you know, you start to put it down and you hit a rock and you pull it up. By the time you've done that, you've practically shredded the poor plant. So we had a bunch of these, you know, with bad experience. We decided, okay, let's put them next to the plant, and now we're going to run baling twine using the rings as
That is such
guides.
a
New
great
England
And then
ingenuity.
another one, and then these kind of just help secure it.
Right.
So you see our baling twine, our friend is baling twine.
Yeah.
It helps
Yeah.
rein in a lot of the fruits so that you can mow around or mulch around
That
or
is
whatever.
such a great idea,
But
'cause-
that's what we'll do for the tomatoes.
Yeah.
We
Uh-huh.
just haven't gotten them up yet.
And I hate putting my tomatoes in these things because
Isn't
they're
it
such
awful?
a pain to get them in and then get
Oh.
them out after.
Yes.
Ah,
Yeah,
that's
you
such a
ju-
great idea and so easy.
And this goes in so much faster. And
Oh,
if you
yeah.
hit that rock and you pull it back
Just
up
move it.
again, yeah.
You're not wrecking the plant.
And I
Yeah.
like having the tomatoes next to the garlic. First of all, they love each other anyway.
Aw.
But after the garlic comes out, which is the end of July, then there's all of this more room if the tomatoes start to lean and fall.
Oh, I
They
see.
have this
Uh-huh.
extra room to fall into rather than
planning.
toppling over another crop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you
And
use the hay for the mulch.
Yes, I use a straw mulch. I like
straw
that
mulch.
a lot.
Yeah.
And then these are the red currants.
And these have already flowered and they're starting to berry already.
They're almost ready,
Look
yes.
at them. Wow.
They hang on
now,
these
is that,
long
how
strings.
red do they
They
turn?
look like little pearls.
Yeah, aren't they beautiful?
Yeah.
It will actually turn like a deep red ruby.
So this is not ready
Not
yet.
quite ready yet, but
So why do you have tennis
well,
balls? What's the
with
story?
all of the fruit, since this is an organic farm and we've been here for 27 years, we have quite a population of birds who live here with us.
Yeah.
And the birds will absolutely demolish the blueberries, all of the currants, and a lot of the fruit never gets a chance to ripen if you don't protect it from the birds. So in a big orchard or a big farm, they may have, you know, a bird cannon to make sounds to scare them.
Right.
But for a home gardener or someone of our size, this is the only way to protect it. Now the tennis balls come because of the rebar. Rebar is easy to come by. You can get it at any masonry supply, and it's easy to put in, even for someone like me, although I didn't do it, I'll be the first to admit. But then when you try and put the netting on, it always gets caught.
Right.
So reused tennis balls. We do a lot of recycled stuff around
Recycling,
here.
reusing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
as
awesome.
much as we possibly can. In fact, when Ralph built the house, he recycled even the roof is recycled slate.
That's what I
Is
like.
it? Yeah.
I just love recycled. So let's head up here a little bit further and we'll see what's up over the hill.
Sure.
Okay, so Patty, what was the first thing that you guys planted when you first started transforming this property?
Raspberries and strawberries, my two favorite fruits.
Wow.
But
wow.
even the jams and plums I planted in the second year, so because I love those too.
So your strawberry patch is here.
Yep.
And how many jars of strawberry preserve did you do?
Probably about 320, 350.
Wow.
Some years I grow more and make more. This is a fairly small planting. And raspberries, I make as many as 1,000 jars of raspberry.
And you have a raspberry currant.
Yes.
I have, that's my favorite. Yeah. But, yeah.
And do you
Jim.
freeze some of them and continue production through the winter?
I'm so busy growing everything and putting everything and picking it that I can't get it all made in the summer.
Right.
So I make the preserves throughout the winter. And
how many jars would you say you make of
in a whole
preserves?
Of just preserves in a season, probably about 2,000.
And you sell them at farmers markets?
Farmers markets, mail order, some craft shows. The Keene Farmers Market is a great farmers market.
And the Thanksgiving Farm Fair.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
have
yes.
She has a huge booth there.
At Stonewall.
Yay. Yay.
So you also have blackberries?
Yes, blackberries and let's see, I think that's all of blackberries, black and red currants, elderberries, blueberries, peaches, pears, and plums.
Yep. Wow. And then you have some more fruit trees up here.
Yes.
Now some of these have things around them and some of them don't. Like this one here, I guess
This is a peach, so far it hasn't bothered the peaches. But I have heard of porcupines bothering other people's peaches. So we may need to protect them.
Yeah.
Right now it's mostly the damsons.
Yeah.
Those little tiny leaves, that's what they love.
Wow. Wow. And is this asparagus bed for you?
Yes.
Wow, so you do some of this for yourself?
A little bit. we have a little vegetable plot too for ourselves.
Yep. Good. Good. Well, I just planted an asparagus bed this year, and mine doesn't look anything like this. It doesn't. All it has is the little ferny things coming up. But I know that next year maybe it'll produce.
Yes,
and they say that it takes 2 or 3 years.
It does, and this is probably, I think Ralph had this before I even came. This is about 33 years old. So.
Wow. So these things take time to build
Yes.
and to prosper. And so if you're interested in starting something like this, even on a small scale, where would you start? Would you start with strawberries and raspberries? Was that something that you felt like it worked?
Maybe raspberries. Strawberries are a lot of work for the effort because you grow them for a whole year before you get anything. And if you plant them in May, you go a whole year, you don't pick until the next June or July, and if something goes wrong and you have a frost, then you've put all that work in for nothing.
Right.
Raspberries are a little bit more forgiving.
Right.
And
Now, and with raspberries, do you have to cut those back, or do you have to cut shoots off, or anything
two different
like that?
kinds. The summer-bearing raspberries, you have to prune out all of the canes that fruited the previous year. but then new canes come up that you will pick the next year. So you have to be very careful pruning those. The autumn-bearing raspberries, piece of cake. You just cut the whole thing down.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Much easier. And there's a new variety I particularly love called Caroline. It's the best tasting autumn variety
So,
of
Caroline.
raspberry I have ever found.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Now, is that an orange raspberry
No,
or a
deep
red?
red,
Uh-huh.
deep red, and it's early for an everbearing. It comes at the beginning of September, so you don't really have to worry about frost nipping it, the autumnal frosts. You can get a really good yield from them.
Yeah.
Much easier too picking raspberries in September when it's 70 degrees and
Right.
crisp than in July when it's 99 and humid.
Right, that's
Right.
a real plus.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
the autumn varieties are
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Now, what about your recipes for your jams and jellies?
The
Do they-
we basically have master recipes. I weigh the fruit. I know what works with each kind, and I do arrange so that I have some of the berries from the beginning of the season mixed with some of the ones from the end of the season, because there's usually a difference in texture, and it's just more fun to play with that way. So master recipes for the preserves and master recipes for the mustard as well.
So you have a really good consistency for all
Yeah.
your things.
I
And-
shoot for consistency.
Yes, yeah, yeah. Now, you have your own commercial kitchen.
Yes.
Yeah. And so you have everything set up just the way you need it, and it's a space, what, 10 by 10 or maybe
A little
bigger?
bit more than that,
Yeah.
maybe 15 by 15.
Yep, yep. And so you have all the scales and all the pans and everything that you need. So
Yep.
you're doing pretty well there. Now, and you also mentioned that you heat the house in the winter,
Yes.
sort of.
Well, the kitchen is attached to our regular kitchen, and I have a Dutch door between the two of them. So I can open the top of the Dutch door and let the steam get into the house.
Beautiful. And do you heat with wood or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
so you got the-
we do have propane as well, but
Okay.
we heat with wood a lot.
So you have the dryness of the wood
Yeah.
with the moisture from the cooking. It all evens out, and you have a wonderful place to live in the winter.
Yeah, it's a wonderful system. It
Yeah.
works really nicely for us, and it's great for us to be able to bring the fruit from the beds right into the kitchen.
Really? Yeah.
And-
I mean, this is a great location. You've got everything organized really well.
Yeah.
Now, do you plant certain things in different places? I know that once you've got the berries in one place, you can't really move them, but
You can actually, the strawberries need to be rotated. It's just like you would rotate an annual crop, and there are some things that they can't follow very well, and after a while we've had trouble finding out where to put things.
Right, but you learn.
You do. We've,
Yeah.
we've made a new field down
Yeah.
at the bottom for
Good.
some more stuff.
Yeah.
It is hard with permaculture, with fruit trees and things that don't get moved. They're a little bit more challenging to grow organically than
Right.
just annual vegetables. But we have found by using good compost and really nourishing the soil, you nourish the plant, and the plants are healthy enough to outgrow most insects and diseases. And for us, our main problem is mammals and birds.
Yeah.
The big guys.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that's really good to hear, because not having an insect problem makes all the difference in the world
Yeah.
just to get started right there. Now you do have the big ones, but I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Hopefully they'll decide that they want to go to your other neighbors and
Right.
get off your property.
That would be good.
But yeah, so Patty, where should people contact you if they have any questions or if they'd like to buy your product?
Well, my website, which is CheshireGarden.com, always has the most up-to-date availability. Because we grow everything and we only make our preserves from what we grow, we always hope to have enough until that berry or fruit runs around on the calendar the next year, but
Right.
sometimes we run out.
Yep.
And so that's a good spot, but in Keene, Hannah Grimes, Stonewall Farm, Piccadilly, Rosalie's, Tracy's,
Great.
we're around.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's wonderful. And so there are places that you can purchase her products right locally, and they can contact you. You probably have an email address. Or,
Yep, right off the website.
Yep,
That's
yep,
really
great.
easy.
So your web address is?
Patty@CheshireGarden.com.
Okay, great. Well, you've been in my backyard with Marcia and Patty and Jody. And if you're interested in becoming one of our members, if you're interested, I've been talking CSAs too long today. If you're interested in becoming someone that would be a guest on our show, or if you're interested in giving us information, please email us. And our email address is inmybackyardch8@gmail.com. and we'll get back to you and hopefully give you some information or point you in the right direction of how you can set up your garden in the Monadnock region. So thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you in my backyard.